One thing that I love is you're working with David Sanchez. That's like pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's been cool working with him. He's really great.
So tell me how that happened. I mean, how did that start?
So we actually met him down in Woodstock. Just we didn't realize who he was at first when we met him. We just started talking. We both went to the same restaurant pretty frequently, and we'd mentioned that we had a gig later and we were gonna go practice for that. And he stopped by and heard us and offered asked if we wanted to come by the studio sometime and see what we could put together.
I mean, the guy has an insane history. I mean, I couldn't believe when I was doing some research on him. The E
Yeah.
Street Band that happened because of the street his parents lived on.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Can you imagine?
And the
Yeah.
funny
I mean-
thing about him too is like he has had so many incredible
He's
experiences.
so humble about it.
Right. He's one of the kindest, most down to earth people you could ever meet in your life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
no, when we first went in, he told us a story about working with Aretha Franklin.
Just
And she's
casually.
just like super casual, yeah. And she's like one of my I
Big
adore her. I love
inspirations,
her.
yeah.
So that to me was like, oh my God. But to him it's just like, yeah, it's but he's still
No,
super
but
casual.
I mean, he's worked with Sting. It's funny. He worked with Living Color. Vernon Reid was I come from a music background, and Vernon Reid and Living Color used to share a music studio together in the '80s with
Oh,
Ronald Shannon Jackson, who played with Ornette Coleman, the drums. So I'm reading this list: Peter Gabriel, Jeff Beck, Eric
Right.
Clapton, John Anderson from Yes. And then it all started in his garage at his mom's place in Belmar, New Jersey. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's a cool story.
Yeah.
Did he ever take you back to Jersey to show you where he grew up and all that?
No, we didn't get to that point, but we were in his studio we spent quite a bit of time in his studio in Woodstock, and that was really just the way he works is very, again, he could be all the people he worked with. That's pretty intimidating to then go into his studio. But again, he was just any ideas we had, we bounced off of him. He listened to and gave suggestions and was just so helpful and kind.
And it's funny because you think people like that who work with all these people, they'd be like really intimidating and almost like they think that they were like better than you or something. But he would like come down with like trays of tea and be like, "Okay, take 5, let's chill, let's get in the vibe."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he is so much a part of why Bruce became a success. I mean, he was there in the very beginning, and I mean, he played on so many different tracks that Born to Run
Right.
I mean, it's incredible. He just was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When here you are, you're up in Bearsville, which is a Todd Rundgren territory on top of that, and you're in that place. I mean, does it suddenly, you got to have like that moment where you're going, holy shit.
Yeah, it happens for us like a lot because sometimes like we'll get to a gig and just like you get not nervous, but you get all this excited energy, and then you get to the gig, right? And you're like, oh damn, now you gotta follow through and do the damn thing. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So tell me about the creative process when all right, here you find out you're working with an icon. You walk into the studio. And how do you get rid of the nervousness of working with an icon and get right to the heart of the music?
I personally just closed my eyes and just.
But how do you see your
I
instrument?
I think it's a lot of internal pep talks.
Yeah.
Kind of like fake it till you make it type of thing. Giving each other pep talks.
Yeah, we're sisters, so it helps that we're like in it together. Yeah, and the thing is we practice so much and we've been playing music together. We started playing music together when we were like really, really young. We played orchestra growing up, so we've always played together. So when we get in situations where we do get really nervous, we just look at each other and we're like, all right, we've done this like how many times? Like, just got to do the damn thing. Just got to go.
It's great though that you have that support system. I have twin daughters, and I can't imagine them not being there for one another. I mean, it's an incredible thing. When they were little, I remember when my daughter Evangeline fell and hurt her nose, and her sister Annabelle didn't even know what happened, and she automatically knew there was something wrong.
Yeah, that's so funny. And it's not the same thing, but we always joke around that we talk to each other without talking, especially like at gigs or on stage. we'll look at each other and we know, like, all right, that's a song we're terrible at making set lists, but we'll look at each other and we can just know, all right, let's do this song next. We don't really have to talk so much.
Even in non-music situations, people always make fun of us.
Because we just look at each other and we just talk.
Now, through David, have you met any of the classic people he's worked with?
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
I would really like to.
Love to.
That'd be cool. But we haven't. But we've met some interesting. We're from upstate New York, further upstate by Cooperstown.
Oh, okay, baseball land.
Yes, baseball land. That's why we play down in Woodstock and like the city, because there's a lot more. There's a lot more people like in the business like down there.
So even though we haven't really gotten to like meet people that he's worked with, we got to meet Brandy Carlisle in 2017. We opened for her down in Poughkeepsie, and she's been one of our biggest inspirations. So that was like
Belinda Carlisle. Where has she been? I haven't heard anything about her in so long.
She came out with a new album a few years ago. She just released a single, I believe.
Yeah.
But like I said, she's always been one of our biggest inspirations. So that was probably one of our coolest shows.
Wow.
One of the coolest people we got to meet.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk, all right, you're in the studio, you finish working, and you go out with David and get a coffee or whatever it is. What do you talk about?
We talk about a lot of different. We've talked to him about a lot of stuff. Just music, obviously, that's a given.
Does he share with you some of the, when you're in the studio, let's say, it was a little tough to get a part down or whatever. Does he share with you some studio experiences he's had with like Springsteen or Jeff Beck or any of these guys?
Yeah, he'll start telling a story, and then just like we said before, he'll casually not name drop like in a pretentious way, but just
give me one story. Tell me one story he told you.
So I'll remember the first time we went into his studio. It's beautiful. It's out. It's overlooking a mountain and everything. First I played piano.
It's his studio.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Well, I don't.
David's studio.
David, I don't know.
Oh, it's just in his house.
Studio,
Okay, I thought maybe it was located somewhere. All right, so it's in his house.
Yeah, it's in his home studio, but it's overlooking like this beautiful mountain and valley, and it's just beautiful. And I play a little bit of piano. I would not call myself proficient, but we walk in, and of course there's guitars, everything, all of his awards and stuff that he's won over the years. There's this beautiful grand piano. I'm like, oh, I want to sit down and like play something. And I go to sit down. He goes, oh yeah, Bruce gave me that. I was like, what? I'm gonna just leave this alone. I'm not. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get up now.
No, what was it? No, when I look at this checklist of people, first of all, it's very interesting that David has a real jazz background, working with Stanley Clarke and Thelonious Monk, John McLaughlin. What is it about you guys, that resonated with him to bring you into his world?
I think the thing why we liked working with him so much, and I think why we work together so well, is that all of us, him included, have backgrounds in all different types of music. So I played violin growing up, and I
started playing classical guitar first.
So we both have backgrounds in orchestral music. We both have jazz music backgrounds as well. Yeah. We play blues, country. Like I think all three of us kind of have all those different backgrounds and are able to bounce different ideas and kind of blend things together.
Yeah, and like Katie and I have always talked about how we think our orchestral training kind of helped us along the way. Because even though what we do now is nothing like that, having that experience really helps.
But it gives you the roots. It gives you the
right, for sure. And he understood that, and a lot of people don't. So that was really cool that we had somebody who understood that.
So tell the viewers how he found you. Give us a quick thumbnail elevator story of how this all came down.
It really was like chance. Like
it's always happenstance. Always chance. Chance of fate.
It was funny.
I always say that every gig we've ever had or everything we've ever done was luck, but we just happened to be ready for luck because we practice a lot. So we just, like I said, we had talked to him several times, and not about music sometimes, but not really, and didn't realize who he was at first. Yeah. And then one day we were practicing because we had a gig that night, and we were like, oh, well, we're going to go practice. It was nice to talk to you again, whatever. And then that's when he realized that we were musicians, and we started talking more. And then he told us his last name, and we're like, oh.
Because we didn't even realize, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we had heard the name, but we didn't know what he looked like. And So like,
he's not one of those people who I would, think about what he looks like. I know his name.
Right.
I know the music he's done, the projects he's played on, but I don't know what he looks like. I have no clue.
Exactly.
I'm not going to admit that I do.
Right.
So it was just happened to be talking to him about random stuff, and then one day we're like, well, we're gonna go practice. We have a gig later, blah blah blah, and then he listened, and then he came to our gig, and that was it. So
the rest is history.
Yeah.
So how did he approach you? When did you realize, like suddenly after one of your gigs, did he come over to you and say, "How would you like to work with me?"
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it.
So our dad actually met him first, and so they kind of were becoming friends. And
then your dad?
Yeah.
Really? How did that happen? I mean, where was the connection there? If I brought my mother to a gig when I was your age, I don't know how that would go down.
Well, so there's the Bearsville complex in Bearsville, and there's a bunch of little like bars, restaurants, right? So David and our dad actually used to hang out at the same one. So they kind of just started talking. Same thing with my dad. He didn't realize who he was at first until he heard his last name. So they kind of started becoming friends. So then we all just kind of were talking, and hanging out. And yeah, that where I'm talking about, there's like this little stream and backyard, and that was kind of like our little like practice sanctuary. So yeah, we would just always be out there practicing, and he just came over and he was like, I like you guys. Yeah.
Wow. So you owe your dad everything.
Yeah, we owe him a lot. He's cool. He's like our roadie, our manager, our bill collector.
We keep him around.
That's great that you have that kind of relationship with him. That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's cool. We're lucky.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, have you ever been to Jersey? Have you been to Belmar? Have you been to any of those areas on your own?
We haven't.
We've been through Jersey on the way to the city. That's about it.
Yeah, most people like to go through Jersey and not stop. Unless you go into the South Shore there where the water is, Asbury Park.
Yeah.
So when you think about now that you're working with a guy like this, and the experience that you've gotten from all of this, what are your aspirations? What do you want to, what's your intended goal? What do you want to see happen from all this?
So for me, music has kind of been the only thing I've ever been good at. It's been like my outlet my whole entire life. Even when I was a kid,
So for you, it's like breathing.
Yeah, basically. Before I ever played anything, I was always just like listening to anything. So it's kind of always been like, I guess you could say like a coping mechanism for just like everyday things. So really that's just what I want to do for my life.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
And you?
Pretty much the same thing for me. I think it would be cool long term, not anytime soon, but long term to open a studio for younger artists and just really, because the thing was when we first started talking to David, when we first met him, we had no idea what direction we were going to go in. And we had talked with other producers and visited other studios who were very like, you have to go in this direction or you have to do this. The thing with David, he was just so open to just finding whatever worked for us. And I think opening a studio, helping younger artists like figure that out and not push them towards any certain route would be really cool.
I think you have the right idea. I mean, when you think about what David's background is, he comes from a jazz background,
right?
And he, and when you come from a jazz background, it means you have an open mind. And it's important not to be pigeonholed into any particular thing. The whole process, that's the problem now with the music out there that's on the radio and that's being played. It's also monotonal.
Yeah.
And to have this ability to just go in any direction, let that real creativity flow.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't exist anymore. You used to get a record deal and you'd have 2 or 3 albums before you'd need to get a hit record before the label might think of dropping you. Now, if you don't have a hit outside the box, you're done.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's funny, Bearsville has always been on my radar because of Todd Rundgren.
Right.
So, he's the one who put it, on the map. And, so it must be kind of wild to be up there all the time, in an iconic place like that.
Yeah, it is.
Have you met Todd?
No.
Yeah. He's not there much anymore, is he?
No, not really.
Too bad. That was a big part of history over there.
Yeah.
So are you going to work with David again?
Hopefully in the future, yeah. Lately we've been writing more.
Yeah, we've been trying to write more. and kind of find like what we want to sound like a little bit more, kind of like more maturely, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing at the moment.
It's funny growing up too, because we've been doing this for so long now that like some of the songs we wrote when we were younger, now that we're older, looking back on them, we're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
It's just funny the way that you look at the things that you yourself write or listen to changes so much. So we're working through that right now. But
yeah, you know, it is definitely, you know, it's amazing how music is really kind of, you hear a song and it brings you back to a period. I've been even thinking lately about when I was growing up, and I just had a flash. It just came at me without warning, of my neighbor listening to WABC, radio on a transistor, and I'm hearing Dan Ingram or Johnny Donovan, all these famous disc jockeys from that era, and it's just amazing, you know, because I'm actually I also do public relations, and I've been placing a lot of stories about Duke Fakir, who's the last founding member of the Four Tops, and they have a show. He has a show he's producing called "I'll Be There," based on "Reach Out, I'll Be There," the classic song.
yeah,
And when you think about that era, he's 86 in December, and he's still touring.
that's so
I mean,
cool.
it's
That's
amazing.
so cool.
It's amazing. But, you know, when you're talking about how music reminds you or puts you in a certain mood or reminds you of a certain time, it's the same thing like with smells.
Right.
You know, I remember like going to visit my grandmother and walking into the apartment building. I still have that smell in my head, you know?
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, I mean, you're going to probably, you know, when when you guys get married, have kids, whatever you end up doing, you're going to look back to this time and you're going to listen to this record, and you'll probably look back to it and think very differently about it, you know, years from now.
Probably, yeah.
You know? Yeah. What does your dad, you know, it must be amazing for your father to see you evolve like this. What does he say to you about all this?
He's our biggest, he's a hard ass, but he's also our biggest
He's
fan.
a hard ass?
He is, but he's our biggest fan at the same time. So it's like nice balance, because when it comes down to business, it's all business. But when
that's where he's the hard ass.
Right. But the thing is, every time you write a new song, he's the first person who hears it, because even if he doesn't like the song particularly, he'll be like, that's still really great. He always has something good to say about it. So that's, you know, maybe he's
biased, like a sounding board for you guys, right?
But what?
He's like a sounding board?
Yes.
Hey, Dad, we got a new song. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah. Yes.
No, he tells you. I bet you he tells you the God's honest truth.
Yes. This is really funny. And sorry, Dad, if you're watching this, but whenever we're sound checking, he'll go, if he has his little signs, right? If he thinks my guitar needs to be turned up, he's like, I'm like, Dad, tell the sound guy. Don't tell me. I can't do anything from over here. Tell the sound guy.
Parents tend to do that. I know. I'm a parent. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you working on now? What's your next step?
I think just kind of continuing to write. Yeah.
You have a gig coming up November 13th. Tell the viewers where you're playing.
Yes, we're playing at the newly renovated Bearsville Theater down in Woodstock, and we're opening for American Nomads. They're a Grammy-nominated Americana band.
That's another Kenjamin Franklin work of art. They're great, that band.
Yeah. Yep. We love them. They're so great. Yeah. So we're really excited. We're looking forward to that a lot.
And how do you know Ken? What's Ken Franklin? Kenjamin. I love that name. Kenjamin.
Yeah. We actually know him through American Nomads. Yeah.
Yep. And so you guys are working together as well.
Yep. Yeah.
He's amazing, Ken. I've never met anybody who's so resourceful.
He's been so helpful. He helps us with promoting a lot, and we're really thankful to him for that.
Yeah, Ken is tireless. Ken is awake by night and sleeps by day.
I think everybody in the music industry kind of like that.
I mean, I go on my email or my on the internet at 3 a.m, and I see Ken's awake.
Yep.
I mean, I think we've done most of our emails at like 3 or 4 in the morning. You know,
yeah.
I don't sleep very much either.
Yeah, that tracks. That's it.
Well, if there's one thing, give me as a parting comment. If there's one, first of all, where can they get your music? Is it streaming? Is it online? Where
we're on Spotify. All of our updates about like gigs and everything like that, we usually post on our Instagram and our Facebook page, which is Music by Sweet Marie. And then we're on Spotify and everything. So.
Great. So they can find it anytime. Now, as a final parting comment, what do you want the people out there that want to be like you? People are going to watch this who are musicians who are trying to make it.
Yeah.
What piece of advice can you give them to inspire them?
Practice your ass.
I was just
off
gonna
and
say,
don't give
just
up.
keep practicing.
Also,
keep practicing. Keep writing, no matter
don't
what.
take shit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Don't take shit.
Don't let anyone tell you can't do it because you're young or because you're a girl
or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
Just
you can do it.
Have you had a lot of people telling you that you can't do it throughout your life?
Yeah.
Yes, we have. The thing is, you just gotta keep pushing and keep doing it, because you'll find, even if it's only 10 people who like your music, you'll find them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you gotta listen to that voice, because if I listened to all the people that said I was out of my fucking mind, I wouldn't be standing. I mean, right now I'm working on an amazing project, and I'm taking lemons and turning them into lemonade, and that's the thing. And you guys are lucky. You have a support system, and and that's a really great thing that you have, because you're sisters, and being sisters is a whole different thing, and I can tell who kicks ass here. You both do, but I won't point you out. Anyway, Sweet Marie, I love it. I love the name, and I love what you guys have to say. And thank you for coming on The Alarmists. Sorry for the bumpy start. I look like I'm a dream. It was great having you on, and we'll have to have you on again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.